Hey, this is Drew Bennett from Big Damn Kid, and today I have issue number 8 of Transformers, the ongoing series from Marvel Comics from 1985. This one was published in September of 1985, and it is the introduction, well, actually, they were introduced, but the actual finding of the Dinobots. And so on the front here, we've got Grimlock in the middle, we got Slag and Sludge there, but there are two other ones, and we'll see those inside the comic. So, what happens here is Ratchet, who has made a deal with Megatron in our last issue, he is now out in the Savage Land. Now, the Savage Land, because this is a Marvel comic, the Savage Land is this place where there are dinosaurs and other extinct creatures living in Antarctica. And it's interesting because the Ark crash landed 4 million years ago, and some of these creatures hadn't been seen alive on Earth for over 10 million years. So it's good that they Shockwave ended up in the Savage Land, or else our Dinobots would not be Dinobots. And speaking of Dinobots, how did they know that they were Dinobots? They were Autobot warriors who became dinosaurs, but the Ark didn't know what to call dinosaurs, and so in this later, Grimlock says Dinobots transform. It's a little bit of a hole there. Anyway, they still, they have the Autobot symbol. They're still Autobot warriors. Thought they could have maybe, set that up, and where Ratchet would know that they're called dinosaurs, and they nicknamed them Dinobots. But anyway, plot hole. Not a big deal. I mean, it's a comic, and it's for kids. So, Ratchet's out there looking for the Dinobots. And while he's out looking for the Dinobots, he's attacked by a snake, and, it was like tubular, carbon-based life form, and goes through a whole couple panels of exposition as to what happened in the last issue. So we're with Megatron, making the deal with Megatron, and finding Optimus, and finding the rest of the Autobots, and why he's doing what he's doing. So, if you haven't picked up any other ones, you're going to find out exactly what's going on once you pick up this one. Apparently the Ark has some shuttlecraft, and that's how he got to Antarctica. You wouldn't have known that, so you wouldn't know, like, how would he have driven there? He wouldn't. So there is a shuttle, and so he takes the shuttle to the Savage Land, and he is using what is called, where'd it go? It was like a mobile... It was a mobile unit for his being MARB, Mobile Autobot Repair Bay. And that's kind of like the little land skiff that he's on there, right there. So he's out on that. And then, so he gets to the Savage Land, he comes across where he thinks he's found one of the Dinobots. And so we cut back to the Ark where Shockwave has returned from taking over the aerospace company there, that GB BlackRock's aerospace place. So he comes and finds Megatron, and Megatron is preparing his prisoner for transport, and the prisoner is the head of Optimus Prime. And so we've got the head of Optimus Prime. They're going to bring him to the manufacturing plant, because they're going to use the Matrix of Creation, or the Creation Matrix program, that's what they call it, Creation Matrix program, to bring life to some new Decepticons. And so, there's that little bit of dialogue there. And then we cut back to the Savage Land, because what we're going to focus on mostly in this issue are the Dinobots. So, cutting back to the Savage Land, Ratchet finds Slag. And Slag is the Triceratops, and what he does is he goes through and he looks at Slag's memories. Actually, because they're robots, he can access their memories, and he can project them onto a screen. He can even add sound. So, we get the exposition as to what happened to the Dinobots and what happened to Shockwave. So, and it's funny, they say that, in the cartoon, the Dinobots were, they weren't too bright, and they talked kind of stunted and slow. But in this case, going over this and seeing Slag talk, he's not really dumb. He's not really like, saying one-word things like they did in the cartoon, but they're not the brightest either. And they even realize that the dinosaurs are not very, very bright either. So, and then, so the Dinobots already know that they're Dinobots because Grimlock gives the order Dinobots attack. What I was saying earlier. How do they know that they're dinosaurs? And it would be quite a coincidence if they were called dinosaurs on Cybertron before this. So it could have been all cleared up, but it wasn't. So the Dinobots attack. They attack Shockwave, who Slag keeps calling him Shock. So Shock, they think that they've beaten him and overpowered him, but then Shockwave just knocks them all aside. And when he knocks them all aside, he knocks them over a cliff. And they are stuck between the cliff and a tar pit. They're all except for Swoop. Swoop is above. Swoop thinks he's going to swoop down and attack Shockwave, but Shockwave grabs him out of the air and throws him into the tar pit. And as Slag says, Swoop fights to free himself, but the more he struggles, the faster the pool sucks him under. It's a bad way to go. Real bad. I just kind of picture Slag as kind of like this real rough, if this was a cartoon, comic book that had like adult themes in it, I think he'd punctuate this with a lot of expletives, is what I would think. So Shockwave is shooting at them, trying to force them into the tar, and he figures that they're done for. But Snarl tail whips the cliff and knocks Shockwave down on top of them. So Shockwave comes crashing down. The Dinobots end up into the tar pit, and Shockwave, the last thing that Slag sees is that Shockwave is covered with the rocks and such. So that's that. They figure that he's done for. Well, Ratchet disengages his probe from Slag. Slag wakes up and attacks Ratchet until he realizes that they are both Autobots. So you see they're both Autobots. Ratchet tells him that Shockwave is still around, and Slag says, "Well, we Dinobots, never start a job we don't finish." So further confirming that they were calling themselves Dinobots. I don't know why I'm stuck on that, but I'm stuck on that. I shouldn't be, but I am. We cut over to GB Blackrock, okay, and so he's at Blackrock Aerospace Plant number 1, which is what the Decepticons have now taken over. So they're outside with the army, and Shockwave comes flying overhead. Now the first thing I thought of when I was looking at this panel is I was thinking that he was carrying like a tank or something like that. But he's not carrying a tank. He's actually carrying a platform that has Optimus Prime's head upon it. So there's Optimus Prime's head. And so what they're going to do is they're going to prepare six new Decepticon lives. And so the next generation of Decepticons, with the help of Optimus Prime's head and the Creation Matrix. Meanwhile, at the Blackrock Chronic Care Institute, we have Josie Beller, who has looked better. She has, when you first see her, she's like all perky and cute, and now she is upset, bitter, and angry because she's all but paralyzed. But she is using her smarts, and she's using technology to make her arm able to be moved. And you can see that there's like circuitry in her arm. So that's a quick little thing there. We bring us back to Josie. What's going to happen with her, we all know. But next, we see Megatron is sitting there. He's sitting in a very contemplative pose. You know, he's got one leg over the other, and he's got his head on his hand, and he's just contemplating things. You know, waiting for he's waiting to hear, you know, what's happening with Ratchet. So Ratchet sends him a video of the Dinobots attacking and defeating Shockwave, and so they go to meet at the appropriate places where they were determined that they would meet, away from the Ark, actually out on the mountains, which just happens to be a ski slope that is inhabited. You know, there are people there at the ski slope, and you know, nice going, Ratchet. Let's put some more humans in harm's way. And so Ratchet meets up with Megatron. Megatron goes back on his word. You know, he's like, I never had any intention of, you know, of keeping this truce. I am going back on my word. But Ratchet is smart. He has learned how to think like a warrior. He sent the Dinobots ahead, had them hide under the snow, because he knew that Megatron was going to double cross him. But now when he knew that he was double crossing him for real, and Megatron broke the truce first, he's free to have the Dinobots attack. So the Dinobots attack Megatron, and honestly, the Dinobots got their butts kicked. Yeah, the Dinobots get their butts kicked. These guys are supposed to be super strong, and they got just trounced by Megatron. So Megatron has now beaten the Dinobots. Shockwave has beaten the Dinobots. I don't know why I thought that they were like the greatest ever, because they seem to be getting beaten by everybody. So it's down to Megatron and Ratchet. And Ratchet realizes he really has to step up. He's got to save the Autobots, and Megatron is just going to blast him. And he's got nothing to lose anyway. So he goes and he rams right into Megatron with all of his might, and it doesn't move him a bit. And Megatron realizes that, you know, now that Ratchet is a brave warrior, and he's going to enjoy killing him, because, you know, it's worth it to him to kill a brave warrior than it is to just, you know, a sniveling person. But even though the attack on Megatron did not knock Megatron off of the cliff, what it did do is break the ice on the cliff and cause Megatron to lose balance, fall over the cliff, and instead of, you know, him reducing the impact, he transforms into his gun mode. He transforms and shrinks, and, you know, he also makes him lighter, because this whole mass shift size thing that they can do, which has never really fully been explained as far as I can tell, you know, he then just lands in the snow, and, you know, Dinobots say, you know, we should go down there and, you know, make sure that he's done for. And Ratchet's like, no, we got to go back to the Ark. And besides, you guys could have a fight, and, you know, we can't take on Megatron a second time. So, yep, you never go and check on the bad guy to make sure that he's dead. Nope, he's not. That's about it for the Dinobots. We get to an epilogue here, going back to Josie Beller. She's in her hospital room, and with all of her smarts and all of her creation with technology, she has now given herself the technology that she feels that she can use to fight back against the robots. And here she can actually zap electricity to different machines, and you'll see in the next episode, because in the next episode we're going to be introduced to Circuit Breaker. And that's it. That's it for issue. I keep saying episode. That's it for issue number 8. The introduction of the Dinobots, who, while they may be strong and they were awesome in the cartoon, I have yet to see them really kick some major butt in the cartoon. I know they'll get there, but this first outing on them, you see them defeated twice. I don't know. Anyway, this is Drew Bennett from Big Damn Kid. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as Big Damn Kid. You can also find me at BigDamnKid.com, and you can find me here because I do a different or another. The next one tomorrow will be number 9. But I do another Transformers comic book every day. Thanks for watching.